friends, welcome to 5 Minute Sunday School. Our question today is, can religion save us from artificial intelligence? That question comes from an article that ran in the Anniston Star. It was also syndicated by the Religion News Service that one of our class members brought in, and we're using it for our question today. The article itself is quite lengthy, and so I'm going to link to it in the notes below if you want to check that out. So, what are the risks associated with artificial intelligence that we might need saving from? I thought of two big, broad categories. The first of which is social change, and these are just possible negative consequences of AI that we might need saving from. Here's some that I thought of: job loss, loss of human purpose, people increasingly having relationships with AI bots that leads to a kind of decline in emotional or social intelligence, lack of privacy, increased control over our lives by algorithms, a kind of an atrophying of human skills and developments as a result of letting AI do our work for us too much, or maybe there's a mixing and matching of some of these things that kind of cascade in ways that are hard to predict and that we certainly might have concerns about. The second big category of risk that we talked about was AI misalignment. That's a term that's used by people working on AI risk. It's called the alignment problem. How do we get artificial intelligence to align with human values and not come to a situation where we've got machines or computers that are more intelligent than we are, that are more capable than we are, that sort of assert their dominance over humans in our universe, and we become subservient to them in some way. We certainly don't want that. So, what is the role of religion in mitigating or saving us from these risks? I initially thought of the story of the Tower of Babel in Scripture. Genesis 11, verse 6, says, "And the Lord said, Look, they are one people, and they all have one language, and this is only the beginning of what they will do. Nothing that they propose to do will now be impossible for them." It certainly feels like that's the moment we're in with AI development and the tools that are available for us to try and what might be around the corner. I asked our class if we've got a Tower of Babel problem, do we need a Tower of Babel solution or do we need a Pentecost solution? Recall at the Tower of Babel, God stopped the building by scattering everyone and confusing their languages, and that basically stopped the building in its tracks. But at Pentecost, it was the exact opposite. God gathers scattered people and enables them to talk across language barriers and barriers of other types. And so, what do you think we need when we talk about AI risk? Do we need to come together and talk across barriers, or do we need to stop the development of this thing and stymie what can be done with artificial intelligence in the future? We didn't come to any conclusion about that, but I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts. The second role of religion that we talked about was returning to the etymological root and core purpose of religion. Pastoral theologian David Benner writes, "The English word religion is derived from the Latin religare, which means to hold together or to connect back. At its best, religion integrates us and makes us more whole." End quote. And so, religion done well and properly can help us reconnect to one another, reconnect to lost parts of ourselves, reconnect to a transcendent God, reconnect to a God who's poured God's self out in creation and incarnation. The next role related to this is the communal role of religion. Many have observed that with the advent of the personal computer and then social media, now perhaps we can posit AI as well, that we're experiencing a phenomenon of being together in digital spaces but feeling more alone than ever. And so religion is a communal thing, and we can come together in religious communities and feed our need for human connection and contact in ways that mitigate what technology is doing to us by pulling us apart sometimes. Another thing we looked at was the notion of the image of God in the Christian tradition, probably the Jewish tradition as well, I should say. We humans have a special role in creation, according to Genesis chapter 1, verse 27. And so, this Judeo Christian concept of being created in the image of God can be a resource not just for our own tradition, but for all of humanity as we sort of struggle with the yeah, but what about us humans question as we marvel at the power and the capacity that AI continues to demonstrate. The fifth role of religion that we looked at was just an acknowledgement that religious materials are already a significant part of the training data for these large language models. The Washington Post recently did an analysis of Google's C4 training data set, and they categorized it, and of the part that they were able to categorize, that was about 2/3 of the data. About 5% of that data was religious materials. And so religion isn't this separate thing from artificial intelligence. We're already part of it. Now, I asked this question, can religion save us from artificial intelligence, to 4 different AI bots. I'm going to link to those in the comments below if you want to check out what they had to say. I'll let them speak for themselves. Well, friends, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you again next week